影集最长寿剧就属《神盾局特工》了，现在已经拍到第7季，而且这连续7年来让多少的粉丝投入在其中，但没想到竟然宣布第7季之后就要画下句点。天哪，到底第7季会有什么让人惊喜的结局呢？会不会在未来跟漫威的电影宇宙有关联呢？来看看我们的独家专访。
Better go.
You're from S.H.I.E.L.D.
Never heard of it.
观众好，我是温Ming-Na，好高兴看你们。
Okay, give me something to say. Well, I mean.
Oh my God.
Well, I mean.
Oh my God. Do you know what you're talking? No. You trusted me.
It's the worst thing I've ever did. I don't know if I just offered people a lot of cash from my Venmo account.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Okay, let's ask some questions before.
So we just learned.
We lost someone. A leader. I'll never be the director Coulson was. But we can save other lives. And that's what we're gonna do.
Emotional double whammy of this particular Comic-Con is that we're shooting that final episode. So we know not where our characters end up necessarily, but we know where the show ends and where they are where the show ends.
I mean, the only great thing about knowing that it's our season, not our season finale, but our series finale, oh, that is hard to say, is then it gives the writers, our writers, a chance to really wrap up the stories the way they want to, you know, and with our characters. A lot of times when it's just a season finale and we don't know if we're coming back for another, it's kind of like these haphazard cliffhangers and endings, and so in a way there's an absolute completion that is very rewarding as opposed to not knowing if it was our last season.
But I also think there's a real challenge to finales.
Very much
As
so.
sometimes we see, they're very hard to pull off. They're very hard to stick the landing of the series finale. Because there are not really a lot of moments where, okay, my life's all set now. That's it. That's the conclusion of it, unless they're burying you. And unless they kill off all the characters in the last episode, which I'm not going to spoil if that's what they do, you're really seeing a direction people are headed in, and you don't know really where it will go from there, but you give an idea.
Right.
Some are resolved, some less resolved.
But that's life, right? Yeah. You know, everybody, their
You're
path
hard to kill off.
I'm hard to kill off. It must not be too hard to kill off because they certainly try to do it all the time.
I think you could go in the Guinness Book of World Records for the one character and how many times that character has died.
I mean, there's a guy on South Park. The sheer volume of story that our writers have done and the way that they've kind of gone off into different corners of the Marvel Universe. To be honest, a lot of the Marvel Universe, they're using it for the movies, or they're protecting it in case they do. So they really have to carefully mine what isn't being used. And then, and a lot of stories I knew from various comics I read, but they've taken a lot of cool parts of it and made them their own. So to see all that, and I mean with every character almost, but especially I look and I see the long history of going up to Melinda May when she's working in an office in terrible PTSD from the moment that made her the cavalry, and then oh my God, the amount of
so many
character blocking that they did between us to keep us from.
And it's great because it keeps it fresh for us, you know. I mean, to answer your question though, I think for me it's the laughter. You know, every day being in the trenches with some of the most amazing actors, crew, people behind the scene, our visual effects, people, the makeup, and it's just the laughing, the sheer joy and fun that a lot of times we have. it makes those 15-hour days tolerable.
When you see the difference between what was done in season 1,
Yeah.
the number of effects, the character stuff, I look at the Quinjet and the reality of that world. If one of those shots doesn't work, it checks you out of the preposterous sci-fi world we're creating, and just he's leveled up all the time, and I think that's why we ended up with 7 seasons. Going into season 7 is not like anything you will ever seen on TV before.
This is the longest live TV series for Marvel.
Yes.
You know, usually a long TV series in Taiwan, the script is ready the day prior to your shooting, so it's very challenging to the actor. And I'm very curious that if that's the same case here.
Very similar, yeah. We usually get our script like a day or 2 days.
But it's for the whole episode. We
Right.
don't get that thing, thank goodness. That's
That they get the dialogue
We'll
on
get
the
some-
day?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, no.
wouldn't have a chance.
That's an Aaron Sorkin thing.
When the devil shows up, he'll be wearing the face of someone you trust. He'll make you question everything you see and everything you know. Hold on!
Hello.
Marvel is going into another, maybe a universe for both TV and also cinematic. What do you have in mind? What do you think of it?
What do I think about Marvel going in another direction? I think change is great. I'm glad, shows like Marvel shows are out there. I think they do a lot of great entertainment on top of, diversifying our film industry in all ways. But it's getting better. Ghost Rider, a ground superhero being up there. So I'm very proud to have been part of the Marvel institution, and and I hope it continues. I would love to continue working with Marvel in some way or another. So
Yeah, I would definitely love to see.
I agree. Don't you all spin off from Macking
I'll go for that. I'll go for that for sure. I think that's what we deserve as characters. The thing is with Mac and Yo-Yo, first of all, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I didn't agree with their characters breaking up. Just because Mac was a director and he felt like, oh, I can't do my job. I thought it would be more interesting had they stayed together and you see the turbulence in their relationship because of the growth between the two. I think that would have been more interesting. But I think in the end they deserve to be together. I mean, these two have literally put their lives on the line for each other. She took a bullet for me.
I took a bullet for him.
Yeah.
I got my arms cut off for him. My neck cut for it. I died in season 5.
I put my life on the line.
You haven't gotten killed for me.
I haven't gotten killed, but I put my life
And by
on
the
line.
way, another situation like that is coming up at the end of 6. Her for him.
Really?
They ask us what are your favorite moments. I've had so many moments as Yo-Yo that I adore. There's so many that sometimes I can't remember. I love the scene with Henry when he loses hope and we're in the frame where I'm trying to get him out. Henry and I always discuss how from the moment we got to act together, just like people, as actors, you have the same thing where you feel like there's chemistry, like it's a human being that you have something similar with and you're going to work with well. We always felt that and we really enjoyed working together. And part of, I think, the reason why I kept getting really meaty scenes with him is because he asked for it. He was gracious enough to go up to the EPs and say, I want to work with this girl more. And that's something I'm going to always be very grateful for.
Rachel, I was selfish. That was me being selfish. I was like, no, this girl is
I can be a girl too.
incredible. It's incredible.
Thank you very much.
And this woman is incredible. And from the first time we got together, I was like, there's something different. And it wasn't, I don't know anything about chemistry. I don't. I just know that when I act with someone and there's like there's something there. There's a connection. And I was like, and she was speaking Spanish. I didn't even understand what I did, but she was speaking Spanish. I was speaking English, and we were just like, I was like, no, I want to work with
It's got to do with actors that are giving, that you're there to give because you know whatever you give is going to be bounced back. It's not a factor of protagonism or this is my scene. And we always shared that. We really enjoyed the tennis of it all.
Dancing.
The
That's what I
dance.
call
So
it,
those are one of my most enjoyable memories. And the crew, just every day walking into that set and seeing those hundreds of people just smiling at you and ready to work when they've been beat to shreds is what I will take with me the deepest in my heart, for sure.
I've been hunting your kind my entire life. There's no use hiding. We'll always find you.
This is the end of the road. I can't leave you.
How do we stop this?
Honestly, season 6 or 7, we don't work that hard to do that. We really like the characters that have been. We're working hard sometimes to bring back characters who've been on our show previously, but that's a much higher priority to us than checking off a box because third guy from the left in this movie showed up, you know? And so we do work hard to do that so that feels like a real world. So
we'll see what happens. Those things are you know, it's a big, long process. Obviously something that we get asked a lot about. It's a show that's about hope. There are dark moments. There are times when we've had to, you know, wipe a little something from our eyes. But at the end of the day, the people that are on that show and the stories that we're telling are aspirational. And that at a time when just civility is a hard thing to find out there, to show a diverse cast working together, people on the show feel that with each other, and that it has a family element to it, that this is a group of characters that didn't know at the beginning that whether or not they were looking for a family, and yet they've somehow come together, and we think that the audience feels that and respects that, and after 136 hours of anything is pretty extraordinary, but to do it on television is exceptional.
I just realized that the Marvel Universe is always very protected for the spoiler alert, and that's what you just did.
Yes.
Is it the same things happen to the TV series too? Like, how do you do spoiler alert? Spoiler alert prevention?
Well, people my feeling, and I feel very strongly about this as the head of Marvel Television, is the word spoil does not have a good connotation. If someone brought you a carton of milk and said, I think this is spoiled, would you like to smell it? You'd go, no, I don't want to have anything to it. Right. So the idea of being able to ruin the story before you get a chance to see it, when there's so many people out there that are just willing to do that, what we try to do is instead, we want to present the show the way that the writers and the showrunners intended for it to happen. Right. And that's it. You know, in our case, we have a 2-hour finale on August 2nd. It feels like a movie, and we're very proud of it.
Of course. Anything to add up?
No, I agree. You know, like I actually, when I go to movies and there's trailers for movies to come, I will do this sometimes because they show too much. I want to experience it when I see it.
Right.
I want to be part of it. I don't want it to be like, oh, I've seen it. So we agree with that. And I know there's a lot of first culture because first, and I don't care. I would rather just be surprised.
I'm capable of more than you think. Now do it. Do it!
I think the show's done such a good job at like doing it and not making a thing of it, which I think is kind of where we should be, and I think hopefully we'll get there to a certain point because they're not like, you know, hey Jeff, what's it like to play a smart white guy? And I would love for these to be so normal that it's not a thing. And I think that the show has kind of just done that. You know, these characters weren't scripted Asian. It wasn't like I didn't audition for this because the role was Asian. They found who was right for the role and then brought in storylines that catered to my ethnicity, which is like a beautiful kind of wonderful thing, and that's not common at all. And they also didn't use it to market the show, which is, and people just kind of discovered it organically, which I think is just the way that it should be.
Let's do this.
The person that is in there is not the man that you loved.
I've been looking all over for you.
Let them come. Who's gonna protect me? Is Daisy coming? Or Simmons?
Okay, let's roll!
That's an amazing thing to me, is that like the show, first of all, it's never pat itself on the back for how diverse it is.
It just is. Which I think is where we need to be more.
It's what it should be, and it's you know, and it also did that, you know, 7 years ago, which, you know, I hate to say it was not as in vogue to have such a diverse cast and to have these very intelligent, female or diverse characters, and so to have that, and it just was that from the jump. I think it's something that makes me really proud to be a part of.
It speaks a lot about having representation behind the camera. We want to see ourselves on camera in a way, and when you see yourself, and when young girls of color or any different background can see someone else that is similar to them on screen being a hero, it inspires you to do other things and in your own life, and it gives you the confidence that in a way that a lot of people don't realize can affect you. Being an orphan, wanting to find out who she is, finding it out, it was not great. Her family situation, and just kind of how many times she's gotten up after falling, I think is the biggest takeaway. Playing her is things happen, you get up. Things happen, you get up, and you just keep getting up. And I think that if there was something to take away as the character and throughout the entire 7 seasons is keep getting up and keep going, and surround yourself with the people that care and love you the most. Yeah.
Hi Taiwan! We love you, Taiwan! Mwah.